Welcome, my friends, to the Church of Bennett. I am Father Durka, and I am here to spread the good word of Bennett to us all. Too many people have been underrating our Lord and Savior. The lone adventurer has faced many a challenge, but still ascended to godhood. Truly someone worthy of our love and devotion. So allow me to help you understand the light, the fire, that Lord Bennett gives us all to save ourselves. All you need to do to join Lord Bennett is to hit that subscribe button. But otherwise, Yorokobe Weeb. But I hope you guys did enjoy that cringy priest skit that I did. I just was bored and wanted to do something a little extra. But the Church of Bennett. I really do believe in Bennett as a really good character. He's part of pretty much every team, no matter what I'm doing. So, like, I could be using Dialog as my main DPS. I could be using Kuching. I could be using anybody as my main DPS, and I will almost always bring Bennett. Other than, of course, Abyss, where you can only use one of the character on a specific team. But let's just let's just jump into why this video is important. So this is pretty much just analysis, in-depth kind of analysis of Bennett. I've been using him a lot. I see a lot of tier lists that rank him really low. If you guys have seen videos from the CN server or Asian servers, you see that they use him a lot. There's a reason for that, right? He's really strong. Maybe not the ultimate DPS, but we'll go into it where he's actually decent at DPS, but his support capabilities are just insane, that's really all it is. So let's just jump right into it. Let's talk about his skills real quick, his E, his ult, etc. So I'm going to jump to his talents, and then just get right into it. So right now you have his normal attack, Strike of Fortune. That's just a basic normal attack. Not much information to go there. If you're running him as a full DPS, which you can, as you ascend him and get more constellations, he becomes pretty viable. You might want to level that up, but as of right now, it's no reason for me to, but it's your basic charge attack, normal attack. Moving on to his elemental skill, his E, his Passion Overload. This is a 3-stage ability that, depending on how long you press the button, will have a different animation / effect / damage. So quickly just on press, I call that level 0, he kind of just swipes and gains a decent chunk of energy. Actually, my Bennett with 200% energy recharge gains about 15 energy when he E's, which is a lot of fire energy. And then level 1 just hits one more time and then launches the enemy, and just a little bit more damage really. And then level 2 hits another time and triggers like this explosion that then knocks you back as well. So overall, like, this is his DPS skill and his energy regain skill, but it's not something that you would focus on if you're running Bennett as a support. On DPS, it's useful, especially with the different boosts he gets to his E from his other skills as he gets ascended. But, we can go over that when we get to those skills, which is right up next. His ult, Fantastic Voyage. This is why you use Bennett. This skill right here is why you use Bennett. So let's just go into the skill attributes so I can just show you all of the things that it is doing. I'm at level 4, and currently it gives me a 70% attack bonus ratio, 7.5% of Bennett's max HP healed per second, plus 765, and of course a skill damage of 291%. It is on a 12-second duration and a 15-second cooldown, which means, you're pretty much keeping that up, right? 12 out of 15 is pretty good. That's 4/5. That's an 80% uptime. Mainly, and if you're running energy recharge, you're just getting your ult so fast, especially on a fire team. It's a 60 energy cost ult, which means it's an average costing ultimate. 40 being the lowest, 80 being the highest, 60 is relatively average, which is, pretty solid. It's pretty solid, especially for a support skill that lasts 12 seconds and buffs your whole party. Pretty good. So that's 70% attack bonus ratio. I want us to focus in a little bit on that. Depending on what level you have his talent at, this bonus ratio increases. So like it starts off at, I believe, 50 or 56%-ish, and then at level 4 it's gone to 70. Looks like the numbers do change a little bit, so it's not a constant growth, but I will keep an eye out for that. But anyway, 70% of your attack bonus ratio is a big deal. So this is only your base attack. So Bennett's base attack is what? That is his stats from being leveled up, his core character stats, and the attack given to him from his weapon's main stat. So what does that mean? this does not get boosted. You know, his attack does not, you know, this attack that they use to calculate this does not get boosted by attack percent substat on your weapon, attack percents on your artifacts, etc., or flat attacks, etc. Those are all bonuses to attack. Just to show you real quick what that really means is, if you, to like kind of confirm this, is go to your attributes, and when you click details, this white number right here is your base attack. So that's the number they're using to boost, you know, everyone's, you know, boost Bennett's ult to the damage bonus, etc. So in this case, 90% of 517 is like 400 something. You know, sorry, 70% of that. But I'm asking, but at Constellation 1, it's 90%. So 70% of 517 gets added to the character, whoever you're using, attack stat, which is pretty big. So let's say you have a 1500 attack Diluc, and you're getting 70% of 500 added to just his flat attack stat, just increasing damage by that much. That usually, from my calculations, has boosted damage from between 20 and 30%, about. So, you know, that's huge, right? Getting a free 20 to 30% damage bonus over 12 seconds just from one ultimate is pretty busted. Because that, you know, remember, that boost goes to your whole party. So any, like, let's say you're using Fischl, you drop her E while you're in his ult, that Oz is now using the snapshot of the boosted attack stat, not her lower attack stat, which is insane, which is actually just like insane. You get that constant damage, and you're able to just keep boosting your entire party. But I think it's better to also kind of show you guys what goes on. So I'm going to play a clip right here of me and my Diluc, you know, versing a Ruin Guard, like the Ruin Guard that's where the Crucible is right now, just to show you beforehand the stats of my characters. So Bennett has 8, you know, these are Bennett stats, doesn't really matter. And then here is Diluc's stats, you know, almost 1800 attack, 13,000, that's all that really matters, 800 attack. So remember this is 1800 attack, and now I'll play these two kind of clips. Alright, so here's a clip. I'm going to go up, attack, 338, boom. I'm going to attack a couple more times to make sure that's the right damage. 544 is a crit, 544 is a crit, 544 is a crit, 331. So we can kind of say that, hey, this is 338, 331 about, right? That's pretty much the range that we have to worry about. Now, we're going to calculate this with Bennett's ulti included now. So Bennett's going to switch out. I'm going to wait for the Ruin Guard to jump. Boom. Ult. Switch to Diluc. Boom. 426. 416. 754 crit. Through 637. 426. 426. 426. So with that in mind, we can kind of just use the numbers that we have of 338 and 426. And that kind of gives you a, or, you know, even if we use the 331, which is the lowest one, and 416, which was the lowest one that showed up on there, that is a 25.7, I'm reading it off my notes, 25.7% increase in damage just from auto attacks. So I wanted to show the auto attacks to show that, hey, this is how it looks, right? This is how it looks. You know, just damage-wise, damage output-wise, because the Ruin Guard has a lot of defense, a lot of HP, right? So I didn't have to worry about anything triggering. I am using Wolf's Gravestone here on my Diluc, but its effect does not trigger because the Ruin Guard is not below 30% HP, so there's no weird attack bonuses going on there. Everyone is pretty much static. So I make a little mistake in the video here, but just you'll see, boom, 2260 attack. So that's how much he gets boosted for being in Bennett's ulti. He gets a pretty much, what was that, almost 500 attack, which makes sense because I'm getting 90% from Bennett's ult because my Bennett is Constellation 3. And then if you want me to compare here, so we can just keep moving forward, I do leave, the buff lasts a little bit longer than I expected, so we wait for it to run out, and 2260, 1795. So that's how, you know, I'm getting like 400 and some change attack from 403, 400 something, I don't know, but 400 something attack just from being in Bennett's ulti. This is not, you know, and I'm not using my E, my high damaging skills. I'm just auto attacking here. So every single hit of, let's say, Diluc's ult is now getting that boost on it too, and it hits a bunch of times. So just think about it like that. You know, that's a straight up 25.68, 25.7% damage increase for 12 seconds. And my Bennett is not on Noblesse Oblige. If he was on Noblesse Oblige, that would give me even more damage. I don't have the full set yet, that's why he's not on it. But we can go over artifacts at a later point. So yeah, so that's that's just a quick show from my account of what just the base thing of what Bennett's doing for my character. I'm now going to include this clip from the from CN Genshin CN that shows you how easy it is to stack all these debuffs and these effects and these buffs with Bennett. That really puts in work. All right, so here's the clip from the from CN showing a team of. I do want to make a note before we go into this video. So this guy is definitely just trying to show off as much damage as possible. That's why they're in floor 3 of chamber 3 of floor 7, which is giving them all these attack boosts, etc. But it still proves the point that this damage is still insane, even though they're having all these attack boosts to their party, etc. Plus all the boosts you get for being in floor 7. So I just want to make that known. So right now they're running a Mona, Bennett, Sucrose, and Amber's just there as a secondary fire to give that 25% attack bonus to the party. She won't even use Amber in this team. So what happens here is boom. So I just want to go over this step by step while we're doing it. So they apply wet. They just dash into it. Mona applies wet while dashing. You go to Sucrose. Sucrose swirls the wet so that the unit loses, I believe it was 40% of their elemental resist to water. And that's because the Sucrose is running the Viridescent Veneer set, which you can farm. The 4-piece is what allows you to lower enemies' resistance to the element that gets swirled by fusing a Nemo plus an element. So, yep. So you swirl. Now you switch back to Bennett, and there Bennett ults. So I just want to go over this. Bennett ults first to inflict Pyro to everyone in the group. So let me just go back real quick. Oops. There we go. So boom. Bennett ults. Everyone's getting Pyro inflicted on them within the circle. So what does that mean? So if you know about Vaporize is fire into water. It's a 2 times damage bonus, and then triggering that, depending on the elemental mastery, does even more damage. So now you see them pop Mona's ult, right? So Mona's ult is a 2-part ult. It applies wet, but it doesn't do damage, the first part. When it does do damage is when the enemy takes another hit. So what they do here is they switch back to Bennett to boom. Boom. So what happened here? So Bennett applies Pyro, which then triggers the second part of Mona's ult using Mona's elemental mastery and her stats from when she used her ult, which was during the circle's duration, which I think is still actually going on. And then Bennett hit anybody, any hit here would have pretty much done it, but he just used Bennett to make sure the fire was applied. And then that triggers the explosion from Mona's ult, which, as you could see on your screen, did 508,000 damage to this one unit. 508,000, 153 to the other person, but 508k. That was very easy to set up too, right? All they did was pretty much 4 things, right? Go in, dash into them, switch to Sucrose, use her E, switch to Bennett, ult, Mona, ult, Bennett, E, boom, and then you get 508k damage. Once again, this is super boosted because it is Spiral Abyss, but this is what you can do with Bennett, his potential, etc. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to show you guys really about this video. All right, next up is how you should build him. Right now, you can see my artifacts on him. We're gonna go over artifacts first, and we'll jump into the weapons. So just to get a high level, the first thing I do want to mention is that, yes, while I don't have the set on him, the first set you would want to get for him is Noblesse Oblige. Noblesse Oblige is just a broken set for any support character in this entire game. As you can see here, the 2-piece set gives you elemental burst damage bonus, but the 4-piece set means every time you elemental burst, all party members' attack is increased by 20% for 12 seconds. So now not only are you ulting with Bennett, giving everybody, in my case, a 90% attack, of his attack bonus, you're now giving them a 20% attack bonus on top of that. And guess what? They both last for 12 seconds, which means they synergize perfectly. The duration lasts pretty much 100%. But, so what are the pros and cons? The pros is that it's broken. It's busted. This is exactly what you would want to run on a support Bennett, especially when you're doing hard content. This helps get a lot of that, damage out so that you can kill those enemies faster, etc. What are the cons? The cons is that this set is very hard to get. It's really locked behind a adventure rank 35 dungeon. And I know a lot of people out there are not AR35 yet. You do get one free piece from doing a side story during the, in Leeway, but it's not easy to get. And then if you want to min-max it, you need to make sure you're getting like energy recharge, HP, and then potentially other stats too, depending if you do more co-op versus solo play. So that's, but like other than that, the only problem here is that he loses a little bit out on energy recharge because you're not running energy recharge set, but the 20% attack bonus to everybody on your party is more than worth it. More than worth it. But that's more of the high-end, perfect endgame scenario. If you want to talk about core stats, I'd say that in solo play, energy recharge is pretty important. You can only get energy recharge, I believe, on your goblet. So, yeah, sorry, not your goblet. You can only get energy recharge as a main stat on one piece. I believe it's either the goblet or the Sands of Time. Yeah, it is the Sands of Time. Okay, so yeah, so you can only get energy recharge on like one piece, which is, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's not the best thing. So hey, it took me a sec, but there you go. There's an energy recharge piece right there. So this is the only piece you can get energy recharge on. For specifically solo play, I'd say getting energy recharge on this piece is super important, the Sands of Aeon, and then the other two pieces you can get HP percent. This is for solo play. For solo play, it's important to have a more balanced team comp because you need to, you're only helping yourself. If you want to go into more of a co-op focus, you'd probably run more DPS stats on him. Energy recharge is almost not ever a problem in co-op. Everyone's attacking, everyone's getting energy particles, which is being shared with the party, so you don't really need as much energy recharge. But, and also the HP too is not as necessary because you'll be popping your ult pretty much all the time whenever it's up, giving everybody a little bit of healing regardless. So you can be more DPS to help them kill faster so they don't take as much damage and you kind of just win the battle there. But otherwise, yeah, so the discount set, sorry, not the discount set, but the OP set is Noblesse Oblige with those stats on it for single player and more offensive stats if you are in that multiplayer aspect. But what's the more friendly, easy to get into stats for him? So, guess what? That's what I'm currently using. So using the Scholars set and using the Exile set is what I recommend. Pretty much. Scholars a little bit harder, I believe, to get than the Exile set, but the Exile set you should be getting those pieces just from exploring and doing random stuff anyway. And their two-piece set effect here is energy recharge, right? And that's what I was talking about. That's really good. So if you run Scholar plus Exile, you're getting 40. Well, not necessarily. I haven't done the math on that, but you get 20% energy recharge bonuses, which gives him just a bunch of energy recharge for free. Granted, the flower and the feather are, you can't change their base stat, so don't worry about those either. But those are the pretty much discount versions of it. I wouldn't necessarily use the full set of Scholar because it doesn't really synergize well at all, but you could also use the full set of Exile. So what does the full set of Exile do? It gives, whenever you use your Ellie Burst, you regenerate energy for the other party members. That's pretty good. You get 2 energy for other party members every 2 seconds for 6 seconds. So that's, it's not amazing, but it does give you 6 energy for free, right? Every time you ult with him, you're getting a little bit of refund back to your party members to help them get ready for their ults, which then gives him energy. It's just it helps cycle a little bit more. I personally would be using, more of a defensive one, but for co-op, you can use whatever you want, right? So in this case, yeah, I do the double 20%, but that's because I run Diluc as my main DPS, and then if I do use another DPS, it's usually Keqing, and I use double electric in that team, so she kind of is covered, and she gets her ult so fast anyway that I don't really need to worry about her at all. So depending on your team, you may want to go for the 4-piece set or the 2-piece set. Both are good options. If you have the 4-piece of Exile, use it. If you have the 2 pieces of Scholar and Exile, use it. It doesn't change too much, but these are a lot more accessible. So look for energy recharge on your time piece, and then look for HP percent for your other pieces to help the healing out. If you're more of a single player focused character. All right, so sure, that's the artifacts. Here's your easy to access set, and then Noblesse Oblige is your you're pretty much your end game set. What weapons do you use on him? What weapon should you use on him? Let's go through them. So right now I have Skyward Blade on him. 5-star sword, very strong, very good on him. Its ability is whatever, but it gives a lot of base attack for being a 5-star weapon. And its secondary set is actually energy recharge, which gives him free energy recharge, which is super good on Bennett. You can argue this is maybe even best in slot on him as of right now in the game. I haven't necessarily tested every single weapon in the game, but in my opinion, this might actually be the best in slot Bennett weapon so far. Ability, kind of whatever. Sky Piercing Might is nice. You know, when he ults, he'll get more movement speed and more attack speed, and increases the damage of his attacks by a lot. So if you are running that DPS party co-op Bennett, this is actually still a good weapon because you're getting the energy recharge and you're getting the damage boost every time he ults. But what other weapons are there, right? What other weapons are there? So then we have Aquila Favonium. Yes, I also have this one. This is, I mean, this one's good. It has the highest base attack of any 5-star single-handed sword. It has a much, you know, it's like 48 versus I think like 44 on Skyward Sword as at level 1. So even here, like level 60, it's 423. Level 60, this is 382. So this has 40 more base attack on it, which maybe in the long term could, you know, give a little bit more attack bonus. But the trade-off here is that its secondary stat is not very useful for Bennett because it's physical damage bonus. He's just using his E to do a lot of damage. He's not really using physical damage to do a lot of damage. So I wouldn't necessarily use it if you don't really have anything else and you just want that big base attacks, you know, stat stick, which is really all he needs. You can still use this though. I don't want to say that you shouldn't. Moving on. The Black Sword I would not use on him. Just, you know, that's about it. It's crit rate. It's not necessary for him at all. But Sacrificial Sword is actually pretty decent on him because of its subset of energy recharge. And you can potentially just instantly reset the cooldown of your E. And like I said, my E gives me a lot of energy, like 15 energy. So if I get 2 of them right there, boom, boom, that's 30 energy right there. That's half his friggin' ulti that's half his ulti, which is crazy, which is insane, right? So that's why I think Sacrificial Sword is actually pretty good, especially if you're trying to rebuild his charge. It actually has a helpful secondary skill. And of course mine's refined rank 5, but regardless. Moving on, Favonius Sword is another, I believe this is the Favonius Sword. Yeah, this is the Favonius Sword. It also has energy recharge on it. If you're somehow running a support Bennett with like super high crit, this might be useful. Just because, you know, you'll generate more energy, which is really helpful. Which is really helpful overall. So every time you crit, almost every time you crit. Actually, I think at rank 5 it is every time you crit. We can check that actually right now. Let's refine it. We have the man. Boom. Yeah. So it is a 100% chance every 6 seconds to gain 6 energy. So if you're running a support Bennett with a lot of crit rate so that he can get that trigger, that can actually be pretty useful. But I think overall that this Sacrificial Sword is more useful overall because you don't need to build crit rate. You just need to build energy recharge, and if you get the E reset, dope. If you don't, you're still probably fine. Moving on, let's get to more FTP options like the Skyrider Sword. The Skyrider Sword is another weapon that has base attack and energy recharge. That's really the only reason you would use it. It's a 3-star weapon with energy recharge on it. Its ult is, you know, boosts attack and movement speed for 15 seconds, you know, similar to the other ones. But you're not using him for attack, so it's not a big, you know, big deal in that case. So yeah, unfortunately. And then in co-op, what would you use? So in co-op, you want to focus more on attack, right? You know, and I think the only one I would talk about is Lion's Roar, because it has the base attack and attack percent, so it's giving you that straight up damage, and it increases damage against enemies affected by Pyro and Electro, which, if you're in his ult, you're on Pyro. You're doing extra damage. You know, and that scales up to, I believe, like about, what, 34%, 40%, something like that, if you have max refinement. And yeah, those are kind of the weapons that I would go through at a high level, you know, just the 3-star and then a couple 4-stars, and of course the 5-star weapons to make sure I went through all of them. And that's what helps him out kind of the most. I'd still prioritize, you know, if you do have Skyward Blade, to use it on him. It's just really good. It's just really good on him. Yeah, that's it for his weapons at least. So boom. Well, before I end the video, I just wanted to show you guys pretty much my cycle on the elite boss, the Cryovine. So, you know, with Bennett and plus Shangling plus Fischl is just there to kind of provide a little bit of support, but not a lot. And then Diluc is my main DPS. So, why is this a good idea? You know, why are you doing this, Dirk? Well, the reason why I do this is because I'm crazy. And now we go boom, we go boom, we go boom, we go boom, and we go boom. And he's dead. That's what a, properly, I can make another team guide and stuff like that later. This is the current team I use for a lot of stuff. I know Official is not super best in slot for this. I would want to switch them out for ice. Granted, this was the Cryovine, so maybe water in this case. But, this is possible because I'm using Bennett to boost everyone's damage. And when I boost everybody's damage, and the constant overtime damage just keeps adding up. And then I trigger procs with Vaporize, with Superconduct. That's not the word either. Overload. And that causes a lot of damage. So yeah, I just want to leave you guys with that. Bennett supports is crazy. It's insane. You're running a triple fire team in this case. You can see how much damage I'm outputting. But yeah, let me know if this was helpful to anybody. I don't know. I just want to make sure I'm doing this content to help people out. I'm adventure rank, like 38. So I want to make sure everything, I can share some of my knowledge with the group. With everybody playing Genshin. I know a lot of things aren't straightforward and requires a lot of testing, and that's what I like doing, so let me know. I also want to give a shout out to my boy Toki. He's going to help me kind of test a lot of the stuff that we did for this video, and a lot of stuff in general. He's my testing guy. Well, I'm his testing guy, and we work together to figure out what makes the most sense based on my opinions or in his opinions. So he doesn't have anything to plug, but shout out to you, Toki. Otherwise, this has been Durka. Oh, what a weeb. And Sayonara. Don't forget to join the Church of Bennett.